Hello, good afternoon. Welcome to News Hour live on GBC News, your news and governance channel. We are also live on Facebook at Ghana Broadcasting Corporation. My name is Micheline Taka. You're most welcome. The National Democratic Congress (NDC) is the latest organization to condemn the Economic Community of West African States (ECOWAS) to use military intervention to restore democracy in troubled Niger. NDC says it does not endorse a threat by the regional bloc's decision, describing it as hasty and reckless. In a statement, the NDC is rather urging ECOWAS to exhaust all diplomatic options available and warned that a military intervention would only exacerbate the crisis and lead to a bloodbath. General Abdurrahmani Tashani, who is head of Niger's Presidential Guard, and a couple of soldiers announced on national television that they had removed President Mohamed Bazoum from power after armed troops blocked the presidential palace in Niamey. ECOWAS on August 2 issued a weak ultimatum for President Bazoum to be restored, else it may be forced to intervene using the military after Nigeria cut electricity supply to intensify pressure on the country's coup leaders. But the NDC's General Secretary, Mr. Fifi Kwete, said the NDC does not support committing the gallant Ghanaian soldiers to any hasty, ill-considered adventure. Meanwhile, ECOWAS leaders are in an emergency summit in Abuja on the coup in Niger after the country's military chiefs defied an ultimatum to restore the elected president, Mohamed Bazoum. ECOWAS says it is seeking a diplomatic solution but has not ruled out using force to resolve the crisis, struggling to stem a cascade of coups among its members since 2020. ECOWAS gave the troops who seized power on July 26 until last Sunday to reinstate Bazoum or face the potential use of force. Coup leaders remained defiant, however, and the deadline passed without action. The critical issue on ECOWAS's agenda is the way forward in handling the crisis. In a 2019 study by researchers Richard Lynn and David Becker at the Osler Institute, a think tank, the highest average IQ scores in the world belong to the Japanese, with the citizens of Taiwan and Singapore close behind. Out of 199 countries in the world in this research, Ghana is ranked 190. Niger, Benin, Togo, and Mali are ahead of Ghana on the IQ rating. Though these research findings tend to spark considerable debate, some believe there is some of truth in it. IQ, or intelligence quotient, is a measure of human intelligence. It is believed that the higher one's IQ score, the more intelligent that person is. But the former chief executive of Ghana's Mental Health Authority, Dr. Akwesi Osei, says a person's IQ is more than the intelligence one is born with.
Certainly the same as your native or inborn intelligence. So if you understand what IQ measures, then you will not be too worried about that. On the other hand, it's worrying because it is part of everything. It's a measure of our reasoning capacity. And that is the worrying component of it. IQ, intelligence quotient, as I said, measures your intellectual abilities and potentials. However, how do we measure IQ? IQ is measured along some 3, 4, 5 domains. Your visual, spatial, that is how you are able to perceive your space. And then your verbal comprehension, how you understand issues. And your fluid reasoning, how you are able to reason. And your cognitive functions. Now, all these domains, actually, before you get them out, it requires the person's ability to understand words that he is provided to show his understanding and how he's able to even draw some figures. Now, these texts actually are based on issues that are quite alien to us, not exactly familiar to us. So indeed, often what you do is that if you measure, even at the clinic, when you measure IQ, then you do what we call normalize. You find the norm according to our situation to see how you can compare. Because if you measure IQ and you get a certain figure, 90, and you decide that, or it could even be 80, 70, and you decide that it means this person is profoundly deficient, you might be deceived. So you need to find the norm. Now, over there, when they are doing the world competitive scaling, they won't know our norm, and therefore they will not normalize it for us. They will just take what it is for everywhere. In that case, that will bring us quite low. So there is a certain defect in the IQ use, because it does not take into consideration the norms of the particular countries. But this also raises concern, a challenge to us, that we need to be able to normalize or even find the equivalent values of our IQ system. With the French-speaking countries, they learn French through assimilation. So right from the very beginning, they form the concepts in the language. So if you go to, let's say, the market, the open market in Ajamo or a French-speaking country, Togo, whatever, the average person in the market speaks French, even if Creole French, some form of French. Because right from the very beginning, he or she was taught in that language, and he or she assimilated it from the very beginning. So they are able to form their concepts right from the very beginning. We were not taught that way. We later grew to learn it. And so you will see even graduates struggling with our language ability. If you go to, adult Ghanaians who go to Russia, Germany, China, Japan to learn, they are given 1 full year intensive exposure in the language. That gives them the concept formation right from the very beginning. Then they can reason in that language formally as a first step, rather than reason in English and then translate. So if we are going to do it this way, then that is what we need to do, so that we can build our language very intensely. So the intensity of it, not so much the duration, but the intensity. So frankly, I would recommend that for our first 3 years of education, very intensive exposure to the official language you'll use and our local language. First 3 years, intensive. And if intensive means ignore every other subject but the local language and English and mathematics, those 3 subjects, for instance, to me, those are what we need at the very basic level, first 3 years. Then we build the concepts very strongly. Then we can reason in that language and even dream in that language.
You're watching News Hour live on GBC News, your news and governance channel. Heavy rains at Poposo Trobo in the Nkwanta South municipality has cut the entire town from the others as residents struggle to go about their normal duties. The rains caused severe flooding of several homes and destroyed property, running into tens of thousands of Ghana cedis. As a result, many of the residents in the affected communities have had to relocate from the area to put up with their family members in neighboring communities. The effects of the floods were ravaging and therefore called for the urgent intervention from the major stakeholders to curb such disasters. Mr. Noah Amankra, who is a resident of the community, has joined us via the telephone lines. Hello, good afternoon, sir. Hello, Mr. Amankra, can you hear me? Good afternoon, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Is it still raining?
It has stopped. Yeah, hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can now. Thanks for joining us.
For now, it has stopped raining. For the past 3 days, it has been raining. And anytime it's raining, it becomes a nightmare for the community. Last year, for instance, we lost one of our precious sons on the Labun Bridge. And the community is connected at the north to Bonchibo, Salifokrom, and by south to Bruniatre to the major road. And anytime it rains, it cuts across all the roads, making it unmotorable. It holds all economic activities. So the Lampu Bridge is the major bridge that connects Putupu and Bruniase. This bridge was built some years back. It was facilitated by the late as a chancellor then, through the help of Kratchit Traditional, Local Council, and Cocoa Buying Board, Cocoa Marketing Board, and commissioned on the 20th February 1969.
That's a long time.
1969 till date, the bridge has never had any rehabilitation. And anytime it rains, no one can cross the bridge. Therefore, we are calling upon the authorities to come to our aid. We will continue to lose our lives on such negligence. So we are praying that anytime it rains, it brings a lot of trouble, problems to the community.
Apart
Farmers
from the bridge,
to farm, the roads are unmotorable. Therefore, it makes farming very difficult and unwilling to go into farming, especially when you have a lot of losses during the rainy season. So we are appealing to the government, the Cocoa Board, they should come to our aid, our roofs. And looking outside the box, we are appealing for irrigational facilities so that the youth can be enticed to go into farming, especially during the dry season, that we have all these river bodies around. So this is our appeal to the government and authorities that they should help Putupu community. We are really suffering. Anytime it rains, it is not easy at all.
Mr. Amankra, now, apart from the bridge, what other causes, as a resident, would you say are responsible for the perennial flooding?
I can hear you. Other causes, our farmers, the inhabitants of Putupu community are predominantly 90% farmers, peasant farmers. So anytime it rains, no one can cross the stream to the farms. And most of the farms are being flooded. And crops like maize are being carried away by the water. And therefore, it doesn't make appetite for farming, especially the youth.
Let's talk about NADMO. Have you received any form of help so far?
Come again?
NADMO. Has NADMO come to your aid yet?
Well, NADMO has not come here. Last year, for instance, we had authorities like the MP, the MC, they came to sympathize with the family. And we put before them that, look, coming to sympathize with the family, we don't want this thing to reoccur. And since nothing has been done.
On the heels of the writing of the BEC exams this year, it's underway still. What happens to those who are writing? Is school ongoing? Are students going to school? What is the state regarding education? Are you with me, Mr. Mankara? I am asking, on the heels of the BECE, the town has been cut off from other communities.
The BEC, the candidates are writing their examination in Bruniase.
How are they commuting to their schools? Kilometers. Okay.
Again?
How are they commuting to school?
Well, when it started raining, everybody just keep reminding of what happened last year. And you know, parents have their children writing exams in a different community. It becomes fear for them that if their children are within their jurisdiction, their control, then they will know how to do it. But this is the case, they are in different community writing their exams. So it's also bringing some fear into the parents.
Thank you very much, Mr. Amankra. I've been speaking with the residents of Poposotrobo in the Nkwanta South Municipality, and he is saying that it's been a nightmare after continuous rainfall. falls in his community. Now the residents have abandoned it to move to other places to seek refuge. 33 rubbish dam sites, including 11 in Tano North, are to be evacuated in the Ahafo region soon. At the evacuation of one such dam site at Techiri in the Tano North municipality, correspondent John Sam Arthur says the exercise is part of efforts to rid Ghana of huge refuse dams dotted all over the country. We'll bring you that story in the course of the bulletin. Moving on to other stories. Well, time to take a quick break. We'll be back shortly. Please do stay. There are strong women. With clubfoot in the Ashanti region have been given the hope of walking normally as any other child following the provision of free treatment by the Christian Health Association of Ghana and Hope Walks. In addition to this free service, physiotherapists at the Komfo Teaching Hospital in Kumasi have also had their competences and professional skills enhanced through theoretical and hands-on training on diagnosis and treatment for clubfoot.
Clubfoot is a congenital disease detected among babies at birth with no confirmed scientific causes. Babies with clubfoot are born with one or both feet twisted inwards and downwards. Over 200,000 babies across the globe are born with clubfoot annually. In Ghana, about 1,000 babies are born annually with this deformity. These statistics make clubfoot one of the most congenital disabilities in the world. The good news, however, is clubfoot is treatable. The medical director of Ghana Clubfoot Program is Dr. Prosper Mo.
For the first time the child is born, the treatment can start even within a week. And then within a week, as the child is born with a clubfoot, when you come to the center, the treatment will start it. And when the child's foot is corrected completely, the foot will look normal after 5 or 6 POP casts. And we have to maintain the foot corrected until the child is fully grown, up to the age of 5 years.
A recent study has revealed that a considerable number of people are living with this deformity due to several reasons, including inaccessibility to or high cost of treatment. It is against this background that the Christian Health Association of Ghana, CHAG, in partnership with Hope Walk, a US-based charity non-governmental organization, has provided free treatment to children with that condition free of charge. The 2-day charity exercise carried out at the Komfo Teaching Hospital in Kumasi was available to children aged day 1 to 3 years regardless of place of residence in Ghana. The program's manager of CHAG, Nanefwe Ajete, explained that the exercise aimed to give hope to both the affected babies and their parents for the future, and entreated parents with babies with the congenital condition to seek health care as early as possible when they detect the condition after birth.
It's not their fault for them to have children with clubfoot. So when they see something like this, they should quickly come to our facilities for free treatment. We are here for them. We want to put that smile on their faces.
2 of the beneficiary mothers, Sandra Jewa and Victoria Jakun, shared their experiences and excitement about the free health care. To ensure that more babies with clubfoot in the country receive the required expert treatment, CHAG has also built the professional competences and skills of staff of the orthopedic department of the Komfo Teaching Hospital.
Prices of vegetables have seen astronomical increases due to the political tussle in Niger, with bags of vegetable prices ranging between 1,500 Ghana cedis to 1,600 Ghana cedis. Industry players fear the prices could push to 3,000 to 4,000 if the situation is not swiftly handled. Onion traders who find themselves stranded at the Benin border for an extended period are appealing to the President, Akufo-Addo, to intervene for the prompt release of approximately 70 trucks carrying onions from Niger to Ghana via Benin. Correspondent Alan Tego interacted with traders at Ajen Kotoku, an onion hub, and joins me in the studio now. Welcome, Alan.
Thank you very much, Micheline.
What were your observations?
A very sad one, or sorry one, to say the least. The onion market is one that receives quite a huge number of trucks from Niger to Ghana, and they subsequently push it on to the rest of the nation. But unfortunately, due to the issue in Niger, trucks are currently being held at Benin and unable to cross. And so, whereas the market would be teeming with so much onion for further onward distribution, there is currently empty stores. You have huge stores with no onions, and the guys who work there are just sitting about, and all they want to know about is when the border is going to be open and when the onions are going to come.
I'm sure you spoke with a number of them.
I did.
Mainly, what were their concerns?
Their main concern was the lifespan of onions, how long it would take for the onions to go back on the tracks, and then also how the government of Ghana is going to work with their counterparts in Benin and Niger to get their border open. Interestingly, they said those who arrived, was it 2-3 days ago, were fortunate because the Benin ambassador to Ghana traveled to the border town between Ghana and Benin and was able to get
negotiate with them to allow
and
them
so
to
a
pass.
few were able to go through, but beyond that, the rest are still stuck there in Benin.
Apart from Ajen Kotoku, did you visit other areas, other markets to see what's happening on the market?
Our second team is working with the ones at Gomua Dominase, and it appears a similar situation prevails at Gomua Dominase because obviously those who bring onions to Ajen Kotoku are the same who take
supply them too.
And so when we go to Ajen Kotoku, we have trucks which arrived there last Monday, still waiting to receive onions to travel all the way to Takoradi and parts of the central region. And so obviously if the situation at the main receiving hub is dire, then you can imagine what it would be.
In a worst case scenario, what were their predictions? If the trucks are not here as soon as possible, what are we going to see?
They're going to incur huge losses because some were saying they actually took loans from the bank to import the onions. They don't pre-finance it. They go and buy them after harvest. And so if they get stuck behind the border, then it will go rotten. And once it goes rotten, that's their money gone.
Thank you so much. Keep following. We'll come to you for more updates as and when. You're watching News Hour live on GBC News, the News and Governance channel. I just spoke with my colleague Alan Tego, who just returned from Ajenkotoku, an onion hub in Accra. In other stories, the Ghana Tourism Authority, as part of its 50th anniversary celebration, is encouraging the public to patronize its blood donation exercise slated for tomorrow, August 11. The director for Communications of Corporate Affairs at the Ghana Tourism Authority, Mr. Jones Aruna Nelson, made the appeal in an interview with GBC News in Accra.
The Ghana Tourism Authority is an agency under the Ministry of Tourism, Culture and Creative Arts, responsible for the regulation of tourism in Ghana. Established in 1973 as the Ghana Tourist Board, the agency was renamed as the Ghana Tourism Authority in 2011 under Act 817. The Act extended the mandate of the agency to overseeing to the implementation of government policies in the industry. As part of activities lined up towards its 50th anniversary, the Ghana Tourism Authority is partnering the Greater Accra Regional Hospital and the Ghana Football Association to organize a blood donation exercise to support the Greater Accra Regional Hospital. Representatives of partners in the blood donation program spoke to GBC News on the exercise.
I am very excited because, corporate organizations like these are people we want to collaborate with to organize such programs for us, to be able to recruit the voluntary donors who patronize football especially.
The key stakeholders who are supposed to donate this blood are the GFA staff of the RFAs, that is the Regional Football Association, players and coaches and managers of clubs in the region. For now, there's Division 1, Division 2, Premier, Division 3 and coach, those who are eligible to donate.
We decided that as part of the program of activities lined up throughout the year, this month has been couched a month of blood donation. We also have this, we'll have a fun game, we'll have a tour, and then we'll also have a Retirees Association being launched just in August.
The blood donation exercise will take place on August 11 tomorrow at the premises of the Ghana Tourism Authority in Accra. Gifty AJ, GBC News, Accra.
Inadequate teaching and learning materials are hindering studies at the Senior Correctional Center in Accra. Officials and inmates are therefore calling on individuals and organizations to support the center with modern learning materials to improve the situation.
Education is said to be the key to success, but how can one acquire the success with inadequate learning materials? These are the thoughts of some of the inmates at the Juvenile Correctional Center. To them, despite being in custody, all hope is not lost. They are determined to make it with the education system provided by the Ghana Prison Service. But there are challenges which need urgent attention.
I was taught at the Juvenile Center, but it's not that much bad. But I want to become a mechanical engineer, and I'm heading towards it.
Compared to other schools, it's good, but there are inadequate textbooks. I want to become a doctor and great scientist.
Conveying the inmates from home, which is the center, to the nearby school is also a problem.
We have raised boys from our center, from JHS, SHS, who are in the universities now. So I also want to use this opportunity to plead to the public that we need a transport, a bus that can convey the SHS boys who go to school every day and back.
Technology is gradually taking over the world, and although information communication technology is compulsory to all children of school-going age, the inmates are lagging behind due to inadequate computers. The officer in charge of the Senior Correctional Center, Deputy Director of Prisons, Millicent Owusu, says supporting the center will help the inmates improve upon their studies.
They lack modern or equipment or materials to learn to write the examination. Especially, I always talk about ICT. Somebody is coming to write exams on ICT, but it may interest you to know that they don't really have a computer to even know this is the mouse, this is the keyboard. But we are trying our best. As I'm talking, the boys are all writing ICT with the students outside our jurisdiction, students who are not in custody, but they don't have a feel of what a computer is. So we normally solicit for funds. The service is trying its best to be able to get everything that they will need.
Formal education was introduced to the juveniles at the Senior Correction Center with the aim of facilitating their smooth reintegration into society upon their discharge. In 2009, the first batch of inmates made up of 21 juvenile and young offenders sat for the Basic Education Certificate Examination, BECE. The center has since scored 100%. This year, a total of 51 inmates sat for the 2023 BECE.
They say a tradition is kept alive to establish an identity, and they say for children, this is very important to develop positive emotional development. As the BECE got underway, Morning Star School at Cantonment in Accra continued its yearly tradition of holding daily intercessory prayers for its final year students before they leave for the examination hall. GBC News was at the school ahead of the day's paper to share in the tradition of prayer. This has been the practice for about 5 decades.
As founders of Morning Star School put religion first in all things, they hold daily intercessory prayers where parents, final year pupils and school management meet to intercede ahead of the final exam. They pray every morning before the paper, putting the students in the hands of the Creator, seeking God's favor before they take their seats for the exam. Over the years, this tradition has been held dearly to provide spiritual support and encouragement to students. The school's management recognizes the importance of students' mental well-being and believes that this practice amplifies positivity and enhances focus during exam period. Led by spiritual leaders together with the school chaplains, the prayer session involves praise and worship, scripture reading and prayers. A director of the school, Nanaya Asrebo, shares some thought with GBC News.
My mother, who is the founder of the school, was a staunch Christian and believed in prayer. And she felt that for everything, as the Bible tells us, go before the Lord in prayer. We have also continued with that, and we have accepted that before the children go, we should seek the face of the Lord to serve as a form of encouragement so that they go confidently to write and come out successful. And it has shaped and built the school, and it's also helped the students to appreciate that with God all things are possible.
One unique observation on GBC News visit was the final booster for the students, where parents and management of the school give their awards their final blessing and good wishes before they walk into the exam hall.
God will make a way where there seems to be no way. He works in ways we cannot see.
Time to make way for business.
Hello, good afternoon. Welcome to Business. My name is Morris Sugbeti. And so the Bank of Ghana has been giving reasons why Governor Dr. Ernest Addison and his deputies must not resign their post as demanded by the minority. A statement issued by the bank explained that 53.1 billion of the losses made in 2022 were a direct result of the government's domestic debt exchange program. The Apex Bank added that despite the huge losses, the outcome has very little implications for the operations of the Bank of Ghana. The statement further added that technically, central banks cannot be insolvent or bankrupt.
A statement issued by the central bank revealed that the country's financial complications started in 2019. According to the statement, there was a clear mismatch between revenue inflows and expenditure, financed in 2020 by exceptional support from the IMF and World Bank resources, and in addition to financing from the Bank of Ghana through the issuance of the 10 billion cedi COVID-19 bond. As a result, sovereign spread on Ghana bonds widened, signaling investor dissatisfaction with the stance of fiscal policy. The budget for 2022, which was read in 2021, failed to address fiscal concerns as the budget was even more expansionary by about 23%, with a raft of revenue measures to raise financing. As a result, the credit rating agencies further downgraded Ghana's sovereign debt rating, which blocked Ghana's access to international capital market borrowing. This triggered a liquidity crisis, spilling over into a balance of payment crisis. External and domestic payments needed to be made. The domestic auction was failing, and the Bank of Ghana had to step in to arrest a major economic and social crisis. In 2 months, the Bank of Ghana lost $500 million in reserves and built significant overdraft with the government as a result of the auction failures. It became clear that Ghana was on a path that was unsustainable, and the government had to approach the IMF for support in July 2022. The IMF processes, including putting into place a credible program of reform, which included restructuring of the total government debt to sustainable levels. Until staff-level agreement with the IMF was reached in December 2022, the Bank of Ghana had to continue to provide necessary support to keep the economy running.
And so the Bank of Ghana issued 2 statements. The other one, which I'll be taking you through, has been giving specific examples on how the general macroeconomic conditions affected the operations of the bank. And so quickly, I'll take you through one of the first reasons, which has to do with the construction of a new Bank of Ghana headquarters. The minority has been worried as to why, in such economic difficulties, the Bank of Ghana will go ahead to construct a $250 million headquarters. And so this is the reason the Bank of Ghana is giving, that a structural integrity assessment conducted by the Bank of Ghana revealed that the current BOG head office built by the Nkrumah government in the early 1960s is no longer fit for purpose and could not stand any major earth tremors. The outcome of structural integrity work was that the main building does not satisfy the full complement of excess strength required for a building to be considered safe for usage. This means that in the case of a worst case gravity wind loading scenario, for example, unusual strong wind, the building may be significantly affected. The building also does not have the required strength to withstand the expected imposed significant earthquake loads that would be expected to occur in the Accra area. Based on the above and looking at the strategic objective of positioning Ghana as the financial hub of the sub-region, the prospects of a potential headquarters for a future regional central bank, the board and management decided to build the new Bank of Ghana head office, which is costing the state $250 million. This are also other explanations the Bank of Ghana has given pertaining to vehicle maintenance and expenses. One of the mind-blowing revelations from the 2022 statement of the Bank of Ghana was how much the bank spent on vehicle maintenance and expenses. And the Bank of Ghana is saying that, firstly, the vehicle maintenance expenses line is a generic name for expense covering fuel cost for all Bank of Ghana operations, insurance of all Bank of Ghana fleet of vehicles, car part replacement, and other maintenance costs. Historically, fuel costs has accounted for about 90% of these vehicle maintenance expenses expenditure line. For 2022, fuel costs increased by 123.3% compared to 28.9% in 2021. This was on the back of petrol and diesel prices increasing from 6.6 cedis per liter of petrol and 6.6 cedis per liter of diesel at the end of 2021 to 16.58 cedis per liter of petrol and 19.6 cedis per liter of petrol by the end of 2022. And so the Bank of Ghana is saying that when we talk about vehicle maintenance expenses, it goes beyond vehicle maintenance. It includes insurance, it includes the cost of fuel for the fleet of vehicles that the Bank of Ghana operates. And finally, before we wrap up here, they're also giving more explanation on what constitutes computer expenses. The jump in computer expenses is mainly the result of the Bank of Ghana's asset replacement policy, which was implemented in 2022, where most of the desktop computers were replaced with laptops. This is in line with the bank's business continuity policy, following lessons learned from the COVID-19 pandemic to allow for flexible working arrangements. In addition, all these hardware and software license purchases were in US dollars, and the exchange rate depreciation and inflation, both domestically and globally, impacted the cedi equivalent on the books of the central bank. And so two statements from the Bank of Ghana, one talking about the losses they made and the other talking about why some expenses have had to go up, largely driven by the cedi's depreciation and inflation. Now, let's do some other stories. In 2022, total trade between the United States and Ghana hit an all-time high of $3.7 billion, with Ghana having a $1.8 billion in trade surplus that same year.
So is it with a national carrier, when it's flying around, the name is just on it. It attracts people. You're able to have direct flights from several countries. So that brings in tourists. But for that, it's not just the carrier. You should also have tourist sites that you market on the national carrier. If you fly Ethiopian Airways, for instance, you see.
While this is my third time in Accra, it's my first time in my current role as Undersecretary of Commerce. In this role, I am fortunate beyond words to be leading a delegation of diverse U.S. companies and organizations representing a wide array of sectors. The companies on this GDEI trade mission range from information and communications technology, trade services, cybersecurity, energy, automotives, consumer goods. All of these sectors present great potential commercial cooperation between our countries. Now, in addition to the companies, our delegation also includes several of the leading African American-led business chambers of commerce in the U.S., as well as the Organization of Women in International Trade and the National Center for American Indian Enterprise Development.
The international news is after this break. Stay with us.
Welcome back. About 36 people have died as fast-moving wildfires spread across the Hawaiian island of Maui. The deaths in the resort city of Lahaina, the island's main tourist destination, were caused by strong winds from a distant hurricane that fanned the flame. A huge search and rescue operation is underway, with some people still unaccounted for. The United Nations and the United States of America say they are concerned about the health and safety of Niger's ousted President Mohamed Bazoum, who has spent more than 2 weeks under house arrest. Mr. Bazoum's political party, PNDS Taraya, claimed the ex-president and his family had no access to running water, electricity, fresh food or doctors. This has echoed a previous comment made by Niger's elected Prime Minister Ohumudu Mahamudu, saying Mr. Bazoum was being held with his wife and son without electricity or water.
Members of the military junta have made no comment about the ousted leader's condition. Since the coup on July 26, Mr. Bazoum has been held at the presidential palace. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres said he was concerned about the reportedly deplorable living conditions Mr. Bazoum and his family were in. According to media reports, Mr. Bazoum's party said they were being detained under cruel and inhumane conditions. The head of the Presidential Guard, General Abdurrahman Chiani, claimed he now runs Niger, while the junta has appointed ex-finance minister Ali Mohamed Lamine Zain as new prime minister following the coup. A new cabinet has been announced by the junta despite leaders across West Africa demanding an end to the military takeover. The new regime has also closed Niger's airspace until further notice, citing the threat of military intervention from ECOWAS. Meanwhile, Nigeria's former central bank governor and former Emir of Kano, Sanusi Lamido Sanusi, met with the coup leader in the Nigerian capital, Niamey, in a bid to mediate the crisis. This is the first delegation the coup leader, General Chiani, has met personally, having shunned several envoys, including a delegation from the West African Regional Bloc, ECOWAS. Mr. Sanusi said he had spoken to General Chiani and will deliver a message to the ECOWAS chairman, Nigerian President Bola Tinubu. Report says General Chiani previously snubbed Nigeria's religious leader, the Sultan of Sokoto, Saad Abubakar, U.S. Acting Deputy Secretary of State, Victoria Nuland, and several African Union and UN delegations. The meeting came as ECOWAS heads of state are due to meet in Nigeria's capital, Abuja, to discuss the way forward after the military junta in Niger ignored a deadline to reinstate ousted President Mohamed Bazoum.
Let's get active with sports. Ghana Premier League side Dreams Football Club has announced the signing of former Ali strike John Entry, head of the 2023-2024 season.
The highest scoring foreigner in the Egyptian Premier League makes a return to Ghana to sign for the MTN FA Cup champions. The 31-year-old had stints with Pyramids FC of Egypt and Al Ahly during his time away from Ghana. The experienced forward is expected to play a key role for Dreams FC, who will be playing in the group stages of the CAF Confederations Cup in the upcoming season. Dreams have been drawn against Guinean side Milo Football Club in the first round of qualifiers for the 2023-2024 CAF Confederations Cup.
The Confederation of African Football CAF is investigating allegations of improper conduct made against President of the Cameroonian Football Federation, Samuel Eto'o. The former Barcelona and Inter Milan striker, a legend in his homeland, was elected as FECAFOOT leader in December 2021, but concerns have been raised over the 42-year-old's running of the organization. Last month, a group of amateur clubs in Cameroon called on Eto'o to resign, citing what they describe as grave irregularities and calling for Cameroon's sports minister to intervene, as well as mentioning the possibility of asking FIFA President Gianni Infantino to do the same. In a statement, CAF said it had received written statements from several Cameroonian football strikers and would be looking into these requests based on and in accordance with the CAF statutes and regulations. Reigning world 100-meter hurdles record holder Tobi Amusan has been left out of Nigeria's list of athletes for the 2023 World Athletics Championship in Budapest, Hungary.
Tobi was handed a provisional suspension last month by the Athletics Integrity Unit for missing 3 consecutive doping tests in 12 months. She vowed to fight to have the ban lifted in time to defend her title in Budapest, but no decision yet has been made on her appeal with 10 days to the competition. The Athletics Federation of Nigeria, AFN, on Tuesday unveiled 22 athletes for the competition that will commence from August 19 to 27, with Tobi's name missing. Tobi is a defending champion in the event, having won the title in Eugene, Oregon last year. Team Nigeria will be led by Commonwealth Games gold medalist in the women's long jump, AC Brumi, as well as US-based sprinter Favor Ofili. Meanwhile, an official verdict of Tobi's case is expected to be announced by AIU before the World Championships begin because of an accelerated hearing.
That is a massive world record.
Songs named after women, and there are varied reasons the musicians give for their choice of song and title: inspiration, love, inner and outward beauty, or just for the fun of it. These, they believe, will strike the right chord with the audience. On our Throwback Thursday, the Art and Entertainment Desk takes you back in the day of a sampling of some Ghanaian songs which featured names of women.
Is your name Akushika or Akusika? This name featured in a song or two and enjoyed good airplay. Yabuatman should also ring a bell, since it's a song that has been sung countless times whenever you introduce yourself with your name. Perhaps you are Comfort, but in this song, the late Dr. Pabobo preferred to pronounce it Comforto. This is dedicated to all with a C. C Kone. The English pronunciation is Sophia, but to Dr. Pabobo in his song, it's Sophia. So Sophia, enjoy. One of the names that were also corrupted for a long time in song was Agatha. In Ghana, because of this song, it is common to hear Agatha. Well, however your name was mentioned, if incorrectly, you should be proud that your name was special enough for some musicians to create music to go with it and also make wave in the dance halls or town halls. And to those waiting to hear their names mentioned, fingers crossed, you just may have your wish someday.
That's all in this package. Thanks so much for making time for News Hour. Do make a date with us again tomorrow. Good afternoon.